Are you prepared for a long-term crisis? This isn't a question to be taken lightly. In an increasingly unpredictable world, it's crucial to be ready for whatever might come our way. Today we're talking about building a long-term survival stockpile, a collection of essential items that could make the difference between struggling and thriving in a crisis situation. We'll be covering key items from fire starters, primitive lighting, hand and gardening tools, to invaluable books and reference materials. We'll also discuss the importance of medications and first aid supplies, water filters and purification systems, food supplies, clothing, and even defense and hunting gear. Each of these items holds its own unique importance in a survival scenario, and understanding why can be the first step towards better preparedness. So, are you ready to become more self-reliant and secure? Let's dive into the essential items you need in your survival stockpile. First up, fire starters and lighting. Can you imagine a world without light or heat? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Going back to the basics, fire starters are not just a luxury, they are a necessity. They're our ticket to warmth, cooked meals, and purified water. So what should you have in your stockpile? Let's start with disposable lighters. They're compact, easy to use, and they can last a long time if used sparingly. But what happens when they run out of fuel? That's where ferro rods come in. These fantastic little tools can generate sparks in any weather, making them an excellent backup plan. And let's not forget about stormproof matches. These little warriors can withstand wind and water, providing a reliable fire source in challenging conditions. You can also make your own tinder using everyday items like cotton balls soaked in Vaseline. These will catch a spark and burn long enough to get your fire going. But what about light? As much as we love our modern LED lanterns and flashlights, it's crucial to have backup lighting options. Candles, oil lamps, and hurricane lanterns can provide light for extended periods and create a bit of warmth too. And of course, they add a certain rustic charm to your surroundings. Now you're probably thinking, that's all well and good, but what about fuel for those lamps? Good point. Stockpiling lamp oil and spare wicks is just as essential as the lamps themselves. And here's a pro tip. While it's important to have plenty of light and heat sources, it's even more important to use them safely. Always have fire extinguishers handy, and know how to use them. This way, you can handle any accidents before they become disasters. So there you have it. Fire starters and primitive lighting. They're simple, effective, and essential for long-term survival. Remember, safety first. Have fire extinguishers handy to handle any accidents. Can you fix a broken cupboard or plant a vegetable garden without power tools? That's a question we all need to ponder on. In an extended crisis, power tools will inevitably fail. And that's where hand tools come into play. These are not just tools. They are the keys to self-sustenance and survival when the going gets tough. Picture this. You need to repair your shelter, but your electric drill has given up on you. The solution? A trusty old-fashioned hand drill. It might take a bit more effort, but it will get the job done. And what about when you need to cut firewood or build a makeshift structure? A variety of saws for different materials will become your best friends. Let's not forget the basics, like hammers, screwdrivers, and wrenches. These tools might seem basic, but they will prove invaluable when you need to fix or construct something. Now let's step outside into the garden. Growing your own food isn't just a hobby, it's a lifeline in times of crisis. And to do that effectively, you'll need a collection of sturdy gardening tools. A good shovel can help you dig planting holes, while a sturdy rake can help you clear leaves and other debris. A trowel will come in handy for transplanting seedlings and doing delicate work in the garden. But remember, quality matters. A well-crafted, durable tool will not only perform better but also last longer. So, when you're adding gardening tools to your survival stockpile, choose ones that are built to last. In a world where power is a luxury, the ability to manually repair, construct, and cultivate becomes a necessity. The right-hand tools and gardening tools will not just aid you in these tasks, but also empower you to become self-reliant. After all, being able to repair and construct is key to self-sufficiency. What if there were no doctors or internet to guide you? Now that's a chilling thought, isn't it? In a world without immediate access to professional medical help or the vast digital library of knowledge we've grown accustomed to, books and reference materials become our lifeline. These aren't just any books, mind you. We're talking about comprehensive guides that can teach you essential skills, from identifying edible plants to building a shelter or setting a broken bone. Consider the Encyclopedia of Country Living or the Foxfire series. These aren't your typical bedtime reads. They're treasure troves of practical knowledge filled with time-tested advice on living off the land. They cover all sorts of traditional skills, from gardening to animal husbandry, woodworking to preserving food. In a grid-down scenario, they'll be worth their weight in gold. And speaking of gold, let's touch on another kind of invaluable resource: medications and first aid supplies. In the absence of a doctor, knowing how to treat wounds and illnesses becomes crucial. We're not just talking about a run-of-the-mill first aid kit here. Stockpile antibiotics and antiseptics, vital for treating and preventing infections. Bandages, gauze, and medical tape are essential for wound care. Don't forget about chronic conditions. If you or a loved one needs regular medication, make sure you have an ample supply. And remember, some medications have a limited shelf life, so plan accordingly. Also, consider investing in medical reference books. A comprehensive first aid manual or a guide to wilderness medicine can be a literal lifesaver in a crisis situation. They can guide you through everything from cleaning a wound to performing CPR. In essence, think of your survival library and medical kit as your lifeline in a long-term crisis. These are resources that could mean the difference between life and death. They equip you with the knowledge and tools to treat illnesses, mend injuries, and navigate a world where the conveniences of modern life are no longer at your fingertips. Remember, knowing how to treat wounds and illnesses without a doctor will be crucial. Can you survive without clean water and food? That's a rhetorical question because the answer is an unequivocal no. So let's talk about water filters, purification systems, and food supplies, shall we? First off, water. It's the essence of life, and without it, we wouldn't last a week. But in a survival situation, the water you find might not be safe to drink. That's where water filters and purification systems come into play. These tools are designed to remove harmful bacteria, viruses, and other contaminants that could make you sick. One option you might consider is a Berkey filter. These gravity-fed filters are reliable and can clean water from just about any source. They're easy to use and don't require electricity, which is a big plus when you're off the grid. Then there are Sawyer products, which are lightweight, portable, and can filter thousands of gallons of water before needing a replacement. They're great for on-the-go hydration and can even fit onto standard water bottles. Now let's shift gears and talk about food. Your survival stockpile should include long-lasting staples like salt, sugar, rice, and beans. These items are high in calories and can provide the energy you need to keep going. To extend their shelf life, consider storing them in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This can keep your food fresh for years, even decades. But what if your stockpile runs out? Well, that's when you'll need to get your hands dirty and start growing your own food. This is where those gardening tools we talked about earlier come in handy. Planting a garden can provide a steady source of fresh, nutritious food, and don't forget about saving heirloom seeds. These seeds can be saved and replanted year after year, providing a sustainable source of food for the long haul. So, in the end, it's all about preparation. Having a reliable water filter, a stockpile of food, and the ability to grow your own sustenance could make all the difference in a survival situation. Consider growing your own food and saving heirloom seeds. Are you ready to protect yourself and hunt for food? Let's dive into the sixth part of our survival stockpile: clothing, defense, and hunting gear. First off, clothing. Now, we're not talking about your Sunday best here. We're talking about durable, weather-resistant, and practical clothing. Think along the lines of heavy-duty boots, thermal socks, insulated jackets, and cargo pants with plenty of pockets. Layering is your best friend when it comes to survival clothing. It allows you to adjust to changing temperatures without wasting precious energy. But clothing isn't just about what you wear, it's also about maintaining what you have. Stockpile repair supplies such as needles, thread, and patches. These can be a lifesaver when a minor tear turns into a gaping hole. And if you wear glasses, having spare pairs is essential. Now let's talk defense and hunting gear. When the going gets tough, being able to protect yourself and procure food becomes a matter of life and death. Firearms are an obvious choice for many, but remember, ammunition could become a scarce resource. That's where bows and arrows come into play. They're silent, effective, and with a bit of practice, you can even make your own arrows. Don't forget the maintenance supplies for your weapons. A rusty firearm or a dull arrowhead is about as useful as a chocolate teapot when it comes to survival. Keep your gear in top shape with cleaning kits, sharpening stones, and lubricants. And lastly, consider stocking items that could be useful for bartering. In a world where the local supermarket is a distant memory, items like coffee or luxury items could become a high-value currency. After all, surviving is one thing, but maintaining a sense of normalcy is just as important. Also, Consider stocking items that could be useful for bartering, such as coffee or luxury items that will be in high demand. So, are you prepared yet? That's the question we've been contemplating today as we've explored the key items for your long-term survival stockpile. We've delved into the importance of fire starters and primitive lighting, hand tools and gardening implements, and the wealth of knowledge that comes from books and reference materials. We've underscored the critical need for medications and first aid supplies, as well as reliable water filters and long-lasting food supplies. We've highlighted the necessity of durable clothing and repair supplies, not forgetting the invaluable defense and hunting gear. These aren't just items on a checklist. They are your lifelines in times of extended crises. They are the tools that will enable you to not just survive, but to thrive, to maintain your self-sufficiency and security no matter what challenges you may face. Remember, it's not just about surviving, but thriving. Equip yourself today for a secure tomorrow.